The Philippines, with more than 7,000 tropical islands, is known for its diversity. From its natural wonders to its provincial escapes rich in history and culture. But did you know the Philippines is also one of the most Catholic countries in the world, coming in third to only Brazil and Mexico? According to Pew Research, as of 2010, there were about 76 million Catholics living in the Philippines. This widespread Catholicism is a living testament of faith in the country, going 500 years strong and dating back to 1521.
We call it the Year of Christianity in the Philippines. So that was in 1521 when the first explorers from Spain landed on our soils, on our islands. And that is when, presumably, also they celebrated Mass, did baptisms, and introduced the faith.
On April 21st, 1521, the cross was planted in Cebu, Philippines, signifying the birth of Christianity in the land. Father Gregory Ramon Gaston, a priest of the Archdiocese of Manila and currently rector of the Pontificio Collegio Filipino in Rome, says even though the evangelization of the Philippines is interconnected with Spanish colonialism, the Filipino people continue to profess the Catholic faith today.
We continue Jesus' mission here on earth, his presence. And so this 500-year celebration also reminds us that yes, we have received a lot and we continue to give.
Father Gaston's words accentuate the theme of the quincentennial celebration, which is gifted to give. In celebration of its 500th anniversary, Filipinos around the world mark the milestone with masses, processions, and festivities. In a video message, Pope Francis likened Filipino faithfuls to a people who know how to accompany Jesus along the way of the cross. And in spite of devastations the Filipinos have encountered in recent years, they keep the faith strong.
How many difficult moments have you suffered? I think especially during the years of immediate preparation for the Jubilee, earthquakes, typhoons, volcanic eruptions, and the COVID-19 pandemic. But in spite of all the pain and devastation, you have known how to carry the cross and continue walking.
During the event, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, former Archbishop of Manila and now the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples at the Vatican, called for more unity.
The witness that we should give to the world of communion, of fraternity, of sisterhood, of the beauty of belonging to Christ. If we belong to Christ, we belong to each other. If we are part of Christ, the body of Christ, we are part individually of each other.
The gift of faith has been handed down from generation to generation, including the identity and culture of Filipinos. Even those who didn't grow up in the Philippines, they continue to share their faith in the lands they call home.
Talking to my non-Filipino friends, they'll say, Filipinos are hospitable, or, they always take care of the other person, or they're so kind or generous. They're the first to help out. And I think subconsciously, these are all Christian values, right? It's just something that's ingrained in who we are as Filipinos because we are a Christian country.
Father Patrick Agustin was born in Maryland, but thanks to his devout Catholic parents, he inherited the faith. In September last year, Father Agustin helped put together a celebration for the 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines in conjunction with the Feast of San Lorenzo Ruiz at the National Shrine in Washington, D.C.
So the fact that you noted that there are some young people in the part of the procession shows that, yes, we're doing our best to raise future generations in the faith.
Deacon Ping Averia also held festivities at his church, St. Leo the Great in Fairfax, Virginia. He grew up in the Philippines and moved to Virginia in the early 90s with his wife.
If you go to any country, anywhere in the world where there's a Filipino community, wherever it is, no matter how small the community is, they always have a Filipino Mass. It is part of who we are. It is It is in our being. Having that faith, and especially for Filipinos, is how we overcome the struggles and difficulties of life, because we hang on to our faith. Wherever we are, we believe that we're not alone, that God is with us.
Roselle Reyes, EWTN, News in Depth.
Roselle, this was a very personal story for you. Tell us why.
It really is, because a lot of what is mentioned in the story is a part of my story and who I am as well. You see, growing up in the Philippines, I was fully immersed in the culture, traditions, and saw that the Catholic faith was such a big part of our everyday lives. I would say that my favorite season is Christmas time, because Filipinos, we love Christmas. Once it hits September, you can hear Christmas songs playing. There would be a countdown to Christmas everywhere. And then on Christmas Eve, we'd stay up and put a big feast together for Noche Buena. I would say another special memory for me would be Holy Week. During that week, we would do what's called in the Philippines as Visita Iglesia. So every town holds an annual celebration devoted to their patron saint. Where I'm from, Naik Cavite, we celebrate the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. To start the festivities, there would be a mass in church, and then it would be followed by a procession. And this procession is a huge parade that the community puts together. All of these wonderful things I mentioned are just a small glimpse of what it was like growing up as a Catholic in the Philippines. Guam is this beautiful island paradise, which is predominantly Catholic as well, by the way. And even though we moved away, we still kept the Catholic faith very much alive in our family. And I have my grandmother to thank for all of that, because everything she learned in the Philippines, the way of life for Catholics, the traditions, she brought that with her. So even in Guam, we would attend Mass every Sunday. Also, a special memory for me in Guam, my older son being baptized. He's actually, I don't know if you see it much, but he's wearing the traditional Barong Tagalog.
Was it easy to assimilate into the Catholic community here?
Moving from such a small tropical island to a big city like DC, it was a bit of a culture shock.
Yes.
But really, the Catholic faith is actually a part of what makes me feel at home here. In fact, we baptized my younger son last year. Here's his picture. Look at the hat.
Oh, that's so sweet. What a blessing.
Yeah, and then my older son, you saw him earlier, he's now taking CCD classes, getting ready for First Holy Communion. And so reflecting on all the interviews I conducted, it just shows me that we all come from different places, we have different stories, but what we all have in common is that faith. Wherever we are in the world as Filipinos, we still bring that faith with us, and with it, the traditions, we pass it along to the next generation. So I hope that, keeping with the theme, Gifted to Give, I'm giving all that I learned from my grandmother and passing it on to my sons.
It's beautiful.